Before the video begins, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which comes from my guy Derek. Derek is creating real life rosters for the 2020-2021 college basketball season on NBA 2K for Xbox One. If you're interested in supporting the making of these rosters, make sure you check him out on Patreon, which the link will be provided down in the comment section in the description down below. He has several membership options to choose from if you want to help support the making of these rosters. The bronze membership is $10 a month and gives you access to the full NCAA 2020-2021 roster with a base of 30 teams, as well as the full NCAA 2019-2020 roster with over 90 plus teams. The silver membership is $15 a month, and with this membership, you get the 2020-2021 NCAA college basketball rosters with an additional 6 teams, 36 teams in total, and also you get an exclusive roster update which adds more teams every month. There are also more memberships available on the page. So, Lamar Jackson won the NFL MVP from the 2019 NFL season. And the question to follow going into the 2020 NFL season is, how will Lamar Jackson follow up his NFL MVP campaign? Now, me personally, I think Lamar Jackson is going to be better in 2020 than what he was last season. Now, it may sound crazy because he had a very impressive MVP season. I mean, he had over 1,200 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns. He also had 3,127 passing yards with 36 touchdowns to 6 interceptions while completing 66% of his passes. Now, I think Lamar Jackson, like I said, is going to be a better quarterback in 2020 compared to what he was in 2019. And the reason because of that is because of Greg Roman returning to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Greg Roman was a hot head coaching candidate, but he didn't end up landing a head coaching gig. So now he returns back as offensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson. And going into year 2, you can only expect Lamar Jackson to get better. You see, Lamar Jackson has evolutionized the quarterback position. Now, I made a video about this a couple years back. Now, if you're an OG subscriber to the channel, you probably remember. But this was one of my earlier videos back when I first started YouTube. But I said why Lamar Jackson will evolutionize and change the quarterback position in the NFL. And Lamar Jackson has. Lamar Jackson has paved the way for quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts. Guys who aren't really that polished as a passer coming out of college, but are really creative when it comes to running the football. You see, Lamar Jackson is a different kind of quarterback. He's a true dual threat. Not only is he solid throwing the football, but he's good running the football as well. And when it comes to running the football, Lamar Jackson is a lot different from the Marcus Mariotas of the world, the Cam Newtons of the world, and the RG3s of the world, because Lamar Jackson is a lot faster and agile. This guy's acceleration is also something that we haven't seen in a very long time. If you ask players how fast Lamar Jackson is, they say Lamar Jackson has the quickest acceleration they've ever seen, on par with Tyreek Hill. He goes from 0 to 100 really quick. And Lamar Jackson is also very creative as a runner, which separates him from past dual-threat quarterbacks such as Marcus Mariota and Cam Newton. He's a really creative and shifty runner. Now, for those of you guys who are going to say that Lamar Jackson is going to be the next RG3 because he runs the ball too much and things like that, I got to disagree with that. And here's why. For those of you guys who say that RG3 and Lamar Jackson are going to end up having the same fates, you didn't really closely follow why RG3 failed in Washington. You see, quarterback is not only just about throwing the football and how accurate you can throw the football, but it's about the mental aspect, right? And RG3 really failed at the mental aspect. After he got that injury that he suffered against Seattle, he lost confidence in himself. And it showed because RG3, after that injury, tried to become a pocket passer. And that's ultimately what led to his demise. And watch that, he tried to be something that he was not. You see, it's an old expression that goes, do what got you to the league. What got RG3 to the league was his ability to not only throw the football on the run, but his ability to use his legs. And then he tried to become a pocket passer and all folded because that's just something that he wasn't. You see, Lamar Jackson has potential to become a good pocket passer. But he doesn't really have a lot of pressure to have to do it right now because he's still young. By the time Lamar Jackson probably gets into about his 5th year in the NFL, when the hits start to add up, he should already be a proficient passer. And even then, I think a lot of people aren't really talking about how good Lamar Jackson is when it comes to throwing the football. For some reason, a lot of people still say that Lamar Jackson can't throw. Somebody at the corner store tried to argue with me and say that Michael Vick will be better than Lamar Jackson. And I would have to disagree with that statement. Lamar Jackson, at this point in his career, is already better than what Michael Vick was in his prime. And I know that may upset a lot of you guys, but that's just the honesty of it. Michael Vick didn't become as good as a passer that Lamar Jackson is right now until he went to Philadelphia with Andy Reid. And Michael Vick has said this publicly on several occasions that Lamar Jackson is a better passer of the football than what he was early on in his career. So the only real comparison with Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick are the running styles. Both of those guys were very fast, they had quick acceleration, and they were very creative runners. But when it comes to throwing the football, it's nowhere close. Michael Vick at this point didn't really get to where Lamar Jackson is at this point when it comes to throwing the football until, like I said, with 2010 when he went with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. So in 2020 with Greg Roman coming back, going to be under year 2 with Lamar Jackson, I'm expecting Lamar Jackson to take some huge steps. Because Lamar Jackson, a lot of people aren't really saying this, but Lamar Jackson has potential to end up being one of the greats of this past decade. Well, of the next coming decade. Because we haven't really seen a quarterback in the history of the NFL, really, who came into the NFL running a 4.2 with the ability to throw the football. Now with Lamar Jackson going in year 2 under Greg Roman's tutelage, not only is Greg Roman going to try to unravel some new wrinkles in the offense, but he's also going to help Lamar Jackson grow and develop not only as a quarterback, but as a passer as well. And that's why I'm so excited about Lamar Jackson 2020, and that's why I feel Lamar Jackson's 2020 NFL season can be a lot better than what he did from 2019 because of how much he's going to improve as a passer. You see, Lamar Jackson surprised a lot of people by how improved as a passer he was in 2019. You see, nobody was expecting Lamar Jackson to develop that fast at the rate that he did that offseason. I mean, the guy went from completing, 57% of his passes to 66% of his passes. Josh Allen hasn't even done that. Cam Newton has only completed over 60% of his passes once in all his years being in the NFL. And Lamar Jackson does it his first year as a full-time starter for the Baltimore Ravens. So when we look at how fast Lamar Jackson is developing, I think Lamar Jackson has potential to end up dominating the NFL the way that Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson are dominating the NFL right now, and Russell Wilson. And after next season, I believe that you're going to have to end up putting Lamar Jackson in the same vote as Mahomes, Watson, and Wilson. Because that's the kind of potential that Lamar Jackson possesses. He can single-handedly take over games. And that's what separates the greats from the average Joes. The average Joes can't take over games. They can't single-handedly will their team to victory. But the guys like Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, they can. And Lamar Jackson in 2020, if he continues at the rate he's been developing this past season, he's going to be in that same conversation as well with those guys that I just mentioned. Now, one thing that we do have to talk about is the young wide receiving core. Now, if you go back and you watch that Tennessee Titans divisional round game, it was a lot of drop passes. I believe I counted at least 9 drop passes. But the good thing is about the receiver position is that the wide receiver position is still young and it's still developing as well. So with Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson, I think that's going to be a really good combination. You also got Mark Andrews there as well. So I mean, as long as the Baltimore Ravens wide receiving core improves and Lamar Jackson continues to improve, Lamar Jackson is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's going to be really soon. If he keeps developing at this rate, he's going to end up becoming the top 5 quarterback by the end of potentially the 2020 NFL season. Now, a lot of people hate to believe that, but that's simply just the truth. The quarterback position is changing. Even before Lamar Jackson got into the NFL, it was already semi-changing. But nobody was really sold on the idea of having a quarterback who could run a 4-2 playing quarterback. Everybody felt like Lamar Jackson needed to be a halfback or needed to be a wide receiver to best utilize his God-given abilities. And yet he proved that he can do that playing quarterback. He also proved that he can throw the football consistently. So in 2020, expect Lamar Jackson to be a lot better than what he was in 2019. Greg Roman is coming back for year 2. And I think a lot of people need to understand that Lamar Jackson is potentially going to end up taking over the league. And nobody wants to admit that. I guess a lot of people are going to try to make it about race and things like that. But I mean, a lot of people are resistant to change. In the world, people don't like to accept change. Well, the NFL is changing, believe it or not. Eventually, in the next decade or so, everybody's going to have their own version of Lamar Jackson. Now, given it will never probably be another Lamar Jackson, but everybody will be trying to find ways to get a quarterback who has the skill sets that Lamar Jackson possesses. So, I think Lamar Jackson is going to be better than what he was in 2019 and 2020. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Lamar Jackson win back-to-back NFL MVPs in 2020.